teaching experience. Okay, so as you can see on Google Classroom, let me go back to let me share my screen with Zoom and go back to the Google Classroom. Okay, you can see everybody writing. Everyone is writing kind of at the same time on the same document. Very easy for me to see everyone's writing. Very easy for other students to see each other's writing. And of course, Zoom itself is very, what's the word? It has a diverse like skill set, a diverse range of tools that I as a teacher can use, such as the screen sharing. Obviously, there's the chat and the video and audio quality of Zoom is very good. Who's writing that there? Here. Who was just writing here? Had a question for me? If you have a question, you can just one of the students. If you have a question, you can just ask. That's very that's okay.
Wait, where do I go from here? I did 2 sections. I did part 2 for the story 1 and part 1 for story 4. What do I do now? Do I go on to story 2 and then 3 and then so on, or?
So I'm going to we're going to finish part 2 up, and then we're going to move to 3.
Okay.
And speaking of that, please finish up your part 2. Okay. That's okay. Just end the sentence wherever you are. Doesn't matter if the idea is totally done, because the next person will pick it up from there. And I'm going to ask everyone to go to part 3. And at this point, actually, I know there's 5 parts, but we are running short on time here, and I want to get to some of the editing.
Wait, so I have to go into another story, right?
That's right, Terrence. You're going to go to story number 2.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone's going to move to a new story. And
I have a question. Hello, I have a question.
One second, Angela. 1 second, Angela. And this part will be the last part. Part 3 will be the end of the story. Okay. So I'm going to go through and kind of delete 2 rows. This will be the final part of the story, so we can get to some of the editing. I want to show everyone the editing part. Angela, go ahead.
My question is that how long is this class?
This particular class today?
Yes.
I think it's an hour and a half. I think it goes till 6:30. Sue can say.
Okay, I have a question. Also, some gave me a document, like there was a link. Someone named Jessica gave me a document, and I realized that is, I realized I do not get my, like I do not have access. Is that because I'm not a student?
I can't say. I think that's true. You're not enrolled in this mock course, so to speak. You're a spectator.
Okay. So for this course, okay, so for this course, what kind of course is this? Is this English course?
That's correct.
Okay. This was a speech or public speaking course?
This is a writing course.
Okay, I guess
at least this is the part that I'm focusing on. I think there will be other teachers coming through. Yes. One last thing I would like to say to the parents is that because this is a writing course, this particular one, it would have weekly homework. Okay, I would have the students, we're doing a lot of writing, you can see here. But I do want to send writing home with the students. And they would come to class with the writing, and we would work on the writing, and we would have more time to focus on the editing, which we will get to in just a couple seconds. I see people making doodles on my screen. That's interesting. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can stop that, just because it's kind of kind of hard to focus. Let's see. How does that even happen? John, is there any word on that? How do people write on the screen?
How do
I
people write on the screen? I am afraid I have no idea.
That's interesting. Well, let me share the screen again.
Who gave who remote control? It said you can request remote control. If anybody tries to get remote control, please deny them. They can draw if you give them remote control.
Decline. Okay.
I can show you. I can show
Maybe
you what
that's
that
me.
looks
Maybe
like.
I
I
was
can just like
accidentally.
request remote control right now, and I can show you what that
Well,
looks like.
I saw that. I did, and I declined someone's request for remote control, so they can draw on my screen. Only I may draw on my screen. Okay, it looks like we're finishing up our stories.
I could draw on the screen even though I did not request remote control.
Okay, Kevin, you have special powers.
No.
And with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm asking you to oh,
It's
see
kicking
this here?
people out.
Please don't do this. It's my screen. It's my screen.
I did not do it.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I believe you. I trust you. Okay, a couple more seconds. My students who are writing and finishing up the stories. I know it's a lot to ask to finish them up, but if it's not perfect, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Okay? I'll give you just a few more seconds to finish up your last sentence. Okay, and I will ask everyone to stop now. All of my students who have been working hard, Alex, Andrew, and Ivy, and Terrence, just kind of put a pause on writing now. I just want to get a little bit to the editing side of things while we have a couple more minutes left. Okay, so specifically, Andrew, Terrence, and Ivy, please look here. We're going to edit some of your writing. Okay, I'm going to go to editing. I'm going to go to my suggestion mode. Okay. So Andrew, I'm going to start with you. This is your nani. I love that meme. That's great. One day, a woman was walking down a street and came by a convenience store. Okay, that works. I like how you say a woman. Can we be more specific, Andrew? What's the woman's name? A woman named what? Andrew, you there?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. What would be a good name for this woman, Andrew? A woman named Chris. I mean, Chris is a female name also, as well as a... did you know that you can spell Chris like this? And that this spelling with the K is always a female Chris? Did you know that? Okay. Okay, great. She had enough money to buy a loaf of bread for the family. Interesting. You don't say her family, you say the family, which actually does work here, okay? She went in and there was a ghost eating all the food, and then we have this funny emoji, okay? I would add one more thing in here, okay? She went in and there was a ghost eating the food. Because we're writing from the perspective of Chris, I think we should say Chris's reaction leading up to seeing the ghost, okay? Because if we're being a narrator and we're writing from her perspective, we should always stay in that style of writing from her perspective, because we're talking about her family. This is something that is about her life. So when you say she went in, I would say, and was, we'll say, shocked to see that there was a ghost eating all the food. And so it's the same as what you wrote, but it's writing from her perspective more. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Now, we are at 5:30. I would love to spend another hour editing all this wonderful writing from our students, but my time is up. I'm going to pass it back to...
No, Chris, you can continue, like finish this part?
Okay, you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me just finish story 1 here. Like what time frame am I working with, Sue?
So take your time, finish the first story.
Okay, that's fine. It'll be about 5 minutes. That should be okay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, should be okay.
Okay, great. So thank you, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew. Okay, now we're going to move on to Terrence. Terrence, you there?
Yep, I'm
Terrence?
here.
Okay, great. Hello, Terrence. She immediately freaked out and she looked around her. Everyone was gone. A couple things with this sentence, and it's like really small things, but they make a difference in like kind of higher level writing. Okay, Terrence? So what I would see first, I don't think, like the rule is when you're writing, if you can get rid of a word and it doesn't really change the meaning of the sentence, then you should probably get rid of that word. It's called redundant, which is a big word, and it just means that kind of not important, and if you got rid of it, it wouldn't really make a difference.
Hello,
Okay.
I have a question.
Angela, wait, sorry. And so here, I would say kind of getting rid of her. Is there a difference when you say she looked around or she looked around her? There's really no difference, right? It's not like she can look around, not her. She has to be looking with her eyes, and her eyes are on her body, right? What you can add is you can say she looked around the store, she looked around the front desk, she looked around the city, right? These things change the meaning of the sentence, but just to say her doesn't really. One other thing I would change is this part of the sentence. You have 2 commas here. So there's 3 parts to your sentence. 1, 2, 3. And it's this third one. We would need something here. We would need like an extra word. Like you have and here, and that's great. So I would add an extra and, or just make it its own sentence. I think that's actually pretty powerful when you just make it like this. And when you say everyone was gone as its own sentence, that's like powerful. It like kind of really hits you more. It's like, oh, everyone is gone. Oh, and this kind of gets our ghost story going a bit more, right? So let's put the let's put the period after around, and then this is all kind of like gone. Okay, great. Lights were out and she knew that she needed to get out of there. Okay.
No.
Terrence, good job. Okay, Angela, you had a question.
So what grade level is it?
This is grade 6 to 8, I believe.
And for class, 30, right?
What was that, Angela?
Yes, this class is to 6:30, right?
I think so. John, this class runs until 6:30 about?
Yeah, there'll be more. Yeah, this will run until 6:30. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So we should probably I guess proceed to the next speaker.
Okay, great. Yes.
Yeah, glad you got a chance to finish up though, Chris. I think that was well worth it.
Yeah.
So
sure.
let's move on then. If you could pass over the host status over to me, I can move on to the next portion of our
Okay.
class.
I just made you a host. Thank you, everyone, for your
Thank you.
time. Thank you, my students, Andrew, Alex, Terrence, and Ivy. You've all been great.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and yeah, thanks for presenting, Chris. That was awesome.
Yep.
All right.